What's up everybody, Commander Sanctum here, and today we have a brand new deck tech using Hashaton, Scarab's Fist. Hashaton is a 1/3 zombie wizard for white-black that states whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, create a tap token of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. Hashaton has caused quite a bit of stir in the EDH community ever since it was revealed, due to his rather unique and powerful ability. There really are a multitude of ways to build Hashaton, from near CEDH level combo decks to the most casual of casual decks you could think of. For this deck tech, we'll do something more in the middle, and hone in on one specific aspect of Hashaton, his creature type. That's right, this will be a zombie deck. Zombies are one of the oldest and most popular creature types in all of Magic, and Hashaton makes for a great Esper-based commander for such a theme. With that, let's get into the card highlights. Before we get to any actual zombies, we'll want some discard effects so we can take advantage of Hashaton's unique ability. I mean, why settle for one zombie when you can potentially have multiple? Perhaps one of the cards with the most talk around it, we have Tortured Existence, a discard effect that can easily enable Hashaton's combo potential. We won't be using it for that purpose, but it is a very effective way to both discard creatures and get them back from the graveyard. Mind Over Matter is yet another combo card in most scenarios, but will simply be used in our case to help either control the board or untap our mana to get more tokens with Hashaton. Volrath's Dungeon is a nice and free effect to get cards out of our hands. While an opponent can pay 5 life to destroy it, they can only do so on their turn, making it a good discard engine in a single turn where we can get multiple zombie tokens out. Grimoire of the Dead and Key to the City can only be activated once per turn to discard a card, but give us some great utility when doing so. Do it enough with the Grimoire and you'll eventually get yourself a Rise of the Dark Realms effect, really capitalizing on discarding all those creature cards to the yard. Key to the City is great as a card draw effect in a pinch, but also lets us make sure we can get one of our zombies through to deal some damage to an opponent. Tolarian Winds is basically a one-sided windfall, and is a great and cost-effective way to discard multiple creatures at once. Since it only costs 2 mana to do so, casting it later in the game with a full grip of cards can be a great way to get a bunch of zombie tokens on the field at once, all while also refilling your hand. We also have access to cards that fit both of our themes of discard and zombies. Cryptbreaker is a well-known zombie that lets you discard a card to create a 2/2 zombie token. It also doubles as a great card draw effect in a zombie-focused deck, making it an all-around powerful card with Hashaton. Selhoff Entomber is a lot slower card than Cryptbreaker, but provides a free discard outlet once a turn, letting you use your mana for Hashaton's ability and nothing else. Forgotten Creation is a once per turn windfall effect, which can be a very effective and powerful way to discard a bunch of zombies all at once without needing to spend any mana to do so. Putrid Imp's discard effect is pretty much irrelevant, but the fact that it's a free and reoccurring discard outlet is where the card really shines. You can freely discard as many zombies as you want to this thing whenever you want, which can be an absolute game changer later in the game when you have a ton of mana available. Gempalm Polluter has its own discard effect built in, while also providing you with a potential huge damage dealer. Gempalm is usually a powerhouse in a normal zombie deck, and the fact that it works so well with Hashaton makes this a no-brainer include. And speaking of cycling, the new card Ret 2 Mystic gets all of your creature cards cycling, letting you effectively draw a card and make a 4/4 token copy of every creature you cycle, all for 5 mana. Verena Lich Queen and Temet Noctumon's Will have a similar effect. Whenever you attack with zombies, you can draw cards and then discard that many cards. Verena draws and discards per zombie, while also gaining you that much life, whereas Temet is simply a 1-for-1. However, Temet also has a very powerful effect that pumps your zombies for each card you've drawn, which when paired with something like a Windfall, could make for an absolutely huge undead army that can close out the game. We also have some nice discard utility cards that fit with our zombie theme. Bone Miser, Cryptcaller Chariot, and Dying to Serve all create 2/2 zombie tokens whenever we discard cards, pairing very nicely with Hashaton's overall theme. Bone Miser is especially nice, as it can do things other than create zombies, depending on what you discard. Since we already have a bunch of cards that don't care about the type of card you discard, this can be a great way to get additional mana or card draw in cases where you need that at the time. Now to the meat of the deck, the zombies. Since zombies are such an old creature type in Magic, there are quite a few zombie lords to choose from. Lords, in terms of Kindred decks, are creatures that buff other creatures of the same type. Cemetery Reaper, Lord of the Undead, and Diregraph Captain all give other zombies a static boost of +1/+1, while providing other utility as well. Lord of the Undead is especially nice in a discard-oriented deck, as it'll let you return the discarded zombie from your graveyard to your hand, meaning you'll be able to discard it again and make another token of it and continue to do so. You could even do this with the Lord himself if you initially discarded him to Hashaton, giving you an army of +1/+1 buffers while also letting you return more zombies each turn exponentially. We also have zombies that care about other zombies entering or dying. Wayward Servant and Corpse Knight will make your opponents lose life and let you gain life in terms of the Servant whenever a zombie enters, which between the Hashaton tokens, the normal zombies, and the 2/2 zombie tokens will add up quickly. Undead Augur cares about zombies dying and will do damage to you instead of your opponents. However, you'll also be drawing a card each time it triggers, which is a very powerful and useful ability. While the Augur could technically kill you if you're low on life and there's a board wipe, since it's not a May ability, it's a small price to pay for the card advantage he can give you. We also have a few cards that aren't actually zombies, but are still quintessential zombie cards nonetheless. Grave Titan is probably the most well-known, as it creates 2/2 zombies whenever it enters and attacks. It's very easy to run away with the game with the Grave Titan, especially if you can recur it and constantly make token copies of it. The Scarab God is another creature that's not actually a zombie, but does a ton of damage to your opponents in a zombie-focused deck. While you can't make multiple tokens of the Scarab God due to it being legendary, even having one of them is usually enough when you have an army of zombie tokens at your disposal. Rot Hulk is actually a zombie, and works extremely well in this deck, since it reanimates zombies from your graveyard. This is a great card to play after having discarded to Hashaton a few times, since you'll easily be able to have 2 copies of each zombie you've used with relative ease. Finally, we have zombies that buff up zombie tokens we control. Eternal Skylord gives our zombie tokens flying, while Gleaming Overseer gives them hexproof and menace. Since we'll be naturally making zombie tokens with Hashaton's ability, these cards are an excellent way to give them evasion and protection, letting us get in on our opponents. Not only that, but this deck is also very effective at making normal 2/2 zombie tokens, which will also get these buffs. Needless to say, these 2 cards are a great way to close out the game once you have a huge army of zombie tokens. Since we'll be sending a ton of creatures to the graveyard, having reanimation effects is a great way to capitalize on this. Rise of the Dark Realms is perhaps the most well-known of these effects, especially in a mass creature capacity, since it'll return all creatures from all graveyards. Zombie Apocalypse only does our graveyard and only zombies, but that's not too much of an issue in a zombie-focused deck. It also has one of the best lines in any Magic Rules text in Destroy All Humans, which may also come in handy in a few situations. Victimize is much more targeted reanimation that also requires you to sacrifice a creature, but the 1-for-2 ratio of it makes it a very effective way to get back more useful creatures. There's also some removal spells I wanted to call out. Living Death is both a board wipe and a reanimation spell all in one, and while it does affect your opponents as well, the fact that we're basically a dedicated graveyard/discard deck should make it so that it's always to our advantage. Raise the Palisade is also a very effective removal spell in any Kindred deck, as it acts as almost like a creature-specific Cyclonic Rift in most cases. Here's an example deck list utilizing all the previously mentioned cards. Additional cards include more zombies, and many more lords, like Undead Warchief and Lord of the Accursed, more thematic card draw like the ever-mentioned Windfall and Distant Melody, and some good utility lands in Crypt of Agadim and Gyre Reach Sanitarium. Hashaton is gearing up to be a very powerful commander. There even seems to be a lot of talk about him being potentially CEDH level of powerful, which is generally a very high bar to pass. There's also so many ways to build him. Since he only cares about creature cards being discarded, not of specific type or anything, there's really many different ways you can go with them. There's also a lot of combo potential with cards like Tortured Existence and Peregrine Drake, and that's only scratching the surface of his capabilities. All that being said, I like where this deck ended up. I think leaning into Hashaton's creature type of zombie is a great way to make a powerful deck while still being casual and not oppressive. And while he does require some additional utility cards to enable discarding, he's still a great commander choice for a zombie Kindred deck. Sure, other commanders may not need the helper cards, focusing solely on the zombies, but those commanders may also be missing out on the huge advantage Hashaton can give by making token copies of your most powerful zombie cards. All in all, I think Hashaton will make for a pretty powerful deck, no matter how you build him, and fits very well with the zombie-themed deck. If you enjoy zombies and have been itching for a new commander to try out, give Hashaton a try. I think you may be surprised at how well he works out. I hope you enjoyed watching this deck tech on Hashaton Scarab's Fist. The full deck list outlined in this video can be found at the Architect link at the top of the description. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a like and comment, as well as subscribe to the channel for more Magic content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.